I had no idea what was coming. It was at that point, this started the slow rip of the Band-Aid. And
Mhm.
initially, again, he was working as a server full time. We maybe had how much was in your account?
I hadn't paid a single bill that month, and I had under $50 in my account, and
Wow.
couldn't get a job for 90 days after that.
Wasn't it right before Christmas
It
too?
was definitely right before Christmas.
Okay, so
Hey guys, welcome. This is Brad Krantz, and I'm with my good friends, business partners, Adam and Ashleigh Reeker. Today in this video, we're kind of closing out our series. We've been doing a series on our experience with Amway, with the Amway Corporation, the Amway business, whatever you want to call it. And today we're going to close that out by talking from two different perspectives on why we left Amway. What was our motivation, kind of what some of the feelings were after we left. And so with that, Adam, I'm going to turn it back over to you here real quick, brother.
Well, thank you so much. And I had to have my wife, Ashleigh, on with me. When we left Amway, she was not my wife, but she watched the entire thing play out. You know, I sponsored her in Amway, but she was not necessarily on board with what I was doing in Amway. She loved the idea of the dream. She wanted the lifestyle. Who doesn't? But This is a young lady who dropped a full ride nursing scholarship to join me in the Amway business, and I had also dropped out of college. So we were taking that thing pretty seriously. You know, when I tell this story, I talk about my emotions and why I finally regained my personal self-respect and freedom. And Amway, they taught us a lot about figure out what you represent. What do you stand for? So that's what I did. When I figured out who I was, what I represented, what I stood for, it led me right out of the business. And some people watching this might feel the same way. You know, we were both working as servers. We were a couple $100 negative every single month in our checking account. And we decided to take a stand. And I broke up with a lot of people in that season. It was the best decision I ever made.
So I just remember watching, it was almost like being a spectator. I was involved, but Adam primarily built our business. Like he was the one driving the miles, going to the open meetings. I was still there, right? But he was primarily the one like on the phones and everything. And I just watched it all unfold. And I remember when we've talked about previously in this series, some of the red flags, the things that we saw that, by and large, we agree with free enterprise. We stand behind free enterprise companies, but we saw things that essentially told us like we couldn't run our business how we wanted to and with the integrity that we wanted to. And even at a young age, we were early 20s, coming to that decision, coming to that point in our lives and watching Adam come to that point in his life, it was like ripping off a Band-Aid. But it was like a slow rip. It wasn't like a fast rip where you just ripped it off. It was like
all the hairs were stuck and it hurt.
Yeah. It was like a couple months of ripping off a Band-Aid. And so I truly remember, watching, initially we were working as, should I tell the server job or the server story?
I think they all kind of go hand in hand, because when I started to regain my self-respect, I took it from everybody around me, and then I took it back from the Amway people, and it's the best thing I ever did for myself that I didn't even know I was capable of. I didn't even know I loved myself that much until I just decided, you're out, you're out, you're out, you're still in, I'm still in, the dream's still here. We're going to go do it the right way.
Yep, exactly. So I think for me, watching Adam, he talks about taking a stand. I remember to the day I was driving. I even remember the street I was driving down. I remember the buildings I was looking at, and Adam called me. And I answered the phone, and he was like, "Hey, I have something to tell you, and I need you to just trust me." And I'm like, okay. I had no idea what was coming. It was at that point, this started the slow rip of the Band-Aid. And initially, again, he was working as a server full time. We maybe had how much was in your account?
I hadn't paid a single bill that month, and I had under $50 in my account. And couldn't get a job for 90 days after that.
Wasn't it right before Christmas too?
It was definitely right before Christmas.
Okay, so all of that happens, and he's like, I just walked out of my job. He was a server at the time, and I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what's happening? I was on my way to work when he called me. And he's like, I just need you to trust me. And I'm like, well, what happened? He said, I have just had enough. And it wasn't here's the thing. So Brad, you understand, and you know us well. This man does not just up and quit. He is a fighter. He persists. He will see things through until they're done, unless it goes against something that he stands for. And we went through this values exercise, and he really started coming into his own of like, here are the things that I'm going to stand for. Here are the things that I won't.
Yeah.
The company he was working for, doing some very shady things with regard to restaurant business practices and things.
They've since been sued, and they were stealing from me when I couldn't afford to be stolen from.
Class action lawsuit. Yeah.
Wow.
Guy's still in business today, but
he told me I could not have a day off. And it made me so mad. I'll tell this part of the story.
Go ahead.
Just because I don't be calm when I tell this, because it fires me up to this day, because I want my self-respect back here, guys. He said, if you want a job here, you'll be here when I tell you you're going to be here. And it felt like the Amway upline telling me, if you want to make the Amway money, you're going to do it the way I tell you to do it, or you're out of here. Amway ain't going to tell me I'm out of here. I broke my team away. We went and did our own thing.
Yeah.
My boss telling me that, another thing happened. I was like, that's what you think, huh? That's what you think. Okay. So what I did was I let my entire section get full. At the time, it was a very busy restaurant. You know, people would have 10 tables, 15 tables in their section all full at once. It's pretty tough to keep up with that, okay? Yeah. So I just stood there, let the hostess just seat all 15 of my tables. Everybody else is like, you taking those tables? You taking those tables? I'm like, yeah, I'll get to them. I waited until all 15 of those tables were full and everybody was upset, okay? I took my server book out. I took my apron off. I took the cash that I had made before he made that comment to me. I slammed it on his desk and I said, there you go, buddy. Those are your tables. You go take care of them. I don't work here anymore. And he thought for a second about getting out of his chair. I bet you he thanks God every day he didn't stand up in front of me that day, because that would have been ugly. But I started to win my self-respect back.
Yeah.
Hey, you own this restaurant, okay? Those are your tables, not my tables. Second, you start stealing from me, putting a finger in my chest, telling me I'm going to be here when I told you I couldn't be there. Those are your tables. I'm out of here, bub.
Yeah.
And what happened, guys? Went home and called Ashleigh. She was probably terrified, because now we had no money, less than $50. And I went to my apartment weight room and was just sitting there staring at myself in the mirror. Here's the other time I won my self-respect back, or started to. I just looked at myself for a while and I said, Adam, this cannot be all that happens in your life. There's no way that this is all that happens in your life.
Yeah.
And that's where my process started. Shortly after that week, my upline called me, and I don't know what he was trying to do.
Continue on the slow rip of the Band-Aid here.
But that's when I had a conversation with him, and I said, listen, man, you do whatever you got to do, but if I ever hear from you again, things aren't going to go real well for you, because this is the woman I love. I got no money in my checking account. We both dropped out of college for the lie that you fed us, but we're going to win. And we sat there for 2 years after that, struggling with our windows covered up with blankets because we didn't see the light of day. Because we told everybody around us that we were going to be so wealthy that we were going to prove them all wrong. And we just rolled over and quit. Amway, trust me, we proved them all wrong because we kept going.
And that's the thing. It wasn't for us, so many people, and we've had folks reach out to us on this series that are like, well, you guys quit. Like, but if you read on.
Yeah, we quit. You dang right we quit.
Yeah, we left
Amway. Ran away from it,
exactly. Man. And we left Amway, right? But we took what we learned from Amway back into this industry, but in companies that we aligned with and that we were able to learn from. Like, you're truly never done growing. And I remember vividly the day that we essentially broke up with our upline and we said, we're not interested in working with you anymore. Some more things happened. And then we ultimately were led completely out of that company for a very good reason. And we stand behind that, we stand behind the lessons that we've learned. We stand behind the things that we did that maybe were not the best, that we fell on our face for, or we lost relationships and friendships. We've learned an incredible amount through this process, but most importantly, we learned what it meant to stand up for ourselves and advocate for what we felt like was right for Adam and Ashleigh. And so, Brad, I know you've got an incredible story, having been around for 14 years. seeing the ups and the downs. And I would just love for you to talk about your story. What led you to leave? And what happened after it?
Brad Krantz is one of the most amazing men I've ever met.
This is
most amazing.
This is good. I don't have any as edgy stories as Adam have. I love business partner in insurance. He stood up to a couple DMs that, I mean, he was this close to getting in fights with him, and I still commend him to this day because I said, man, and he was not a guy you wanted to mess with either. And I was like, whoa. So I don't have that dramatic of a story, guys, but I think if I could preface with the silver lining here, as we were talking before, and is what you're saying, Adam, I think, it's just like what Calvin has said dozens of times. You learn more from your failures than your successes. And I didn't know it at the time. I mean, we'll talk about some of the feelings coming up, but in retrospect, it's what I learned from my quote unquote failure in Amway, probably what you learned too. And it wasn't the success I had, but we learned from the failure. We kind of learned what we didn't want, how we didn't want a business to operate and all that. So in retrospect, there's a silver lining to this. But guys, real quick, having been in 14 years, we made it to 1,500 PV, as I said. And it's a start with trying to run an insurance business, which is taking capital, actually making money though, and trying to run an Amway business on the side, which is not, it's draining capital. We were basically deep in debt, not making any money. And ultimately, and this had been building up for a long time, with family pleading us to get out, and what you're taught, you just think, your family's a bunch of idiots. They don't know anything. They've never been in business. Well, in retrospect, guess what? My dad and other people were a little bit smarter than I gave them credit for being. But I want to try to share this quote today, see if this is going to happen, because this is what got me, guys. This is what said it right here. I think it was part of a standing order tape. Maybe it was off of John Maxwell and was quoting Jack Welch, but he said, face reality as it is, not as it was or as you wish it to be. And I'm going to repeat that again. Face reality as it is, not as it was or as you wish it to be. And when I heard those words, this is exactly what I thought is, okay, Brad, you haven't made money. You're not making money in this business. It's a drain. The chances of you really making any money are slim to none. You have one choice and one choice only, and that's I've got to cut off the drain. I've got to cut off what's a cash drain on us. And that was really tough to do. But that quote really stuck in my mind. But what I also want to talk about too is because I think a lot of what doesn't get said when you leave the business, because there's no like debriefing or anything like that when you leave. I interviewed my company when I left, and that was I kind of just let it slide because I was out of there. But feelings, I guess number one was relief. Okay, that's over. Okay, stop that cash drain. I think my dad was great. Finally told him, Dad, I finally quit the business. And he's like, good. So it's over. But then there's the feeling of fear, fear that I failed. I didn't build this business. And my whole dream at that time was tied up, that I had no other alternatives in my mind that I saw except this business. So I'm giving up on my dream. That was a fear. And then the fear of the unknown. Now what? Mm-hmm. Insurance agency, that was, got to focus some time on that and got that up going before the market turned down again. But I had those fears, then the feelings of doubt, self-doubt. Did I make the right decision? And of course, the one that had plagued me for years after was, how did I let things get so far out of control? I mean, who stays in a business for 14 years and doesn't really make any money? And I'd lied to people, say, oh yeah, I'm making money and this and that. You're kind of talking, fake it till you make it. Right. And you get the point where you actually start lying. You're going, Brad, why are you doing this? Why are you telling people a lie when I'm not making money in this deal? Because you can't admit after 10, 15, 14 years that you're really not making any money. So because they go, why are you in this deal? But there's a lot of doubt afterwards. And I guess also the feeling of abandonment. Again, just there's no exit interview.
Right.
What do you do? You've left a family that you've been, a quote unquote family, a quasi family you've been part of for 14 years, develop some relationships, see people weekly, if not monthly, all that. But there's no follow-up like, hey, Brad, I want to sit down with you. Why did you quit? What's going on in your life? What's happening? It's just over and it's done with. And it wasn't until years later. And as I told Adam, I kind of find this a mystery, but people that have left, I was finding out nobody's ever really talking about why they actually left. I'd have to guess it's probably because they weren't making any money, but no, it's like nobody really talked about why they left the business. What made you leave? It's kind of like you've learned to just not talk about it. You hold it in, but you don't talk about it. And it wasn't until years later that, you know, I talked to a good friend of mine that was in the business. He was with another network marketing company doing pretty well. That we actually talked about some of it, and he validated a lot of my feelings. It wasn't just me, because a lot of times this business, you were taught that if you don't make it, it's all on you. You didn't do something. You weren't core. You weren't attending the functions. You weren't showing the plan. You weren't doing all these things. And that was really kind of part of my fear of failure, is that it was all on me. And it took me years later till I realized, Brad, it wasn't all on you. This wasn't a good opportunity. The teaching and training was really good, but the opportunity itself was mediocre. And so years later, finally doing some of the research on the internet, which they tell you don't, guys, yeah, the internet can be a bathroom wall, but it's also a great place to get information. You can't hide with online. And I started to see some of the things that, Adam, you had seen that I had no clue about what was going on behind the scenes. I had no idea till afterwards. And that made me mad, really. That was, I guess, feeling that came up too, is one of mad that I'd been misled. I'd actually been lied to about where the money's made. And guys, I don't know about you and those of you listening to that, but if somebody's telling you they're making money a certain way and they're not, and you come to find out differently, that's a huge deal. That's a lack of integrity. That's a bold-faced lie.
Yeah.
And
two things. I mean, if somebody watches this and you want to know if someone's making any money in Amway, the first thing I want you to do is ask them what pin level they're at. And if they tell you, oh, you know, I'll be Ruby by FED, they're probably lying through their teeth and they don't even have anybody on their team. And then the other thing is this, and I mean, I totally agree. They taught a lot of good things that have nothing to do with Amway.
Absolutely.
But if their teaching and training was so good and you were doing their teaching and training verbatim the way I was early on and you weren't growing, then how good is the training really?
Yeah. Great training, but you don't have a good opportunity to.
That is the business's fault, right?
To meet the road. Yeah, it's really the business, because I'll just say again, our upline, who I'm not going to mention, but they've been in the business 30 plus years. I think they're going to be going Ruby again. They were Ruby in 5. They're all excited about going Ruby again. And I'm thinking, what do you tell people, guys? I want you to think about this, guys. Ask your upline maybe how long they've been in the business. But if they're still just Ruby after 30 years, what's your chances of being diamond or anything more? I mean, that's being real about it. What is your chance? My upline's not even a Ruby. We're talking about going diamond. They're not diamond. What are my chances of it? And just be honest. Is that, you know, if Calvin Becerra had been in 14 years and he's still a executive, I go, man, I think I've got a chance of succeeding with what we're doing. So those would just be some of my thoughts, I guess, before we do a call to action. But really it was a relief. And I came to find out, again, I'll just circle back that we don't always know why we go through certain things. We have failures in our life. We all have them. And I think Calvin's spot on right. Calvin Becerra, when he says you learn more from your failures than you do successes. And so my failure taught me what I didn't want to do, but I realized it's not me. It's not my work ethic. With the last company I was at, I was salesman of the year in 2012. So I know I've got a work ethic. I can hit goals, but I go, okay, how come you didn't hit it in this business opportunity? Well, maybe it's because it's not a great opportunity. You have a good opportunity, a solid opportunity, good training, good support. You should be able to reach a goal with reasonable effort. It shouldn't be that you have to pull your hair out or you're just sweating bullets all the time and you can't make it happen. So that's kind of my story, guys. Why it was in retrospect, it was a great decision, but it was one that I had to make, and I had to face reality. It was, and for me, that was just this isn't going to be my vehicle.
I'll tell you what, I was on with an awesome young man a couple days ago who was watching part of the series and didn't really talk about what we do now. That wasn't really the point of the call, but he had been in for 10 months. He had done 300 PV every single month by himself. So did his girlfriend, and so did 600 PV a month household. Going to all the meetings, all the functions, all this. Yeah, they're core. That's what he mentioned. And at the end of it, he's like, he's not sponsored a single person because of because there's just the way that they're speaking and teaching how to sponsor. It's like, it's not like you can just go tell someone this is Amway and sponsor them. That's not the process we're supposed to go through.
Yeah.
They're supposed to take them through this really, like, I don't know, interesting, I'll call it what it is. I think it's shady. Interview process about a mentorship program, and never actually tell people what the opportunity was. Like, so also he told me the app that they're buying was $85 a month.
Yeah.
Then you're talking about products. Then you're talking about meetings. Then you're talking about the functions.
Yeah.
I just said, I told the kid, I'm like, I think you're a really awesome guy. I think you can build whatever you want to. I'd really like to work with you, but that's up to you.
Yeah.
And so that's what I would tell anybody that's watching this. And I think, Brad, from what I've seen you and I do since we locked arms, 6 months ago, has been absolutely awesome, because you just grow and grow and grow, because you know what you're doing and your people know what they're doing. If I was a person watching this that relates to Brad Krantz, I mean, what would you tell them to do? Where they're at right now. Just speak from the heart.
Well, I would tell you, and this is what I really do when I'm looking to sponsor somebody. There's a few traits. Number one, I want somebody who has a positive attitude. Okay, I don't want to work around negative Nellies or anybody like that. But if you got a positive attitude, that's a good sign. Hopefully you got a work ethic to go with that too. But being accountable as well. To me, I'm accountable. When I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to do something, I'm going to call somebody, I'm going to follow them up. I do that. Okay, that's important to be accountable to your word. But I would tell somebody looking at this, hey, look, we're not asking you to jump into this deal sight unseen. We're not telling you we're leading you through a bunch of, primrose path and not telling you what it is. But check us out. Part of our free app is that check us out to find out, are we the people in the company, the opportunity that you want to partner with before you jump in? And we'll be totally upfront with you about it. What we're doing with Jeunesse Global and 3LE, we're not going to blow smoke at you or tell you, hey, we want to mentor you for 6 months. And I go, where's this leading? Mentor you, but I'll tell you why we're going to mentor you and what the parameters are. I'm not going to mentor somebody without any clear goal to it. But I would tell people to check us out, okay, before you get involved. But find out if we're real, and I think you're going to find out we're very real. You can see us on Facebook. You can check us out on YouTube. You can see what we're doing, and we're very visible. You can check me out on LinkedIn too. I mean, I'm very upfront about what I'm doing and who I am, because I want people to know who I am, and you guys do a great job of that too. Are you guys, am I somebody that you would want to be in business with? If not, hey, that's okay. But I think you're going to find out we're very solid, we're honest, we're ethical, and we've got great upline mentorship that's not blowing smoke at us about an opportunity. And we got an opportunity, I think it's probably the premier opportunity out in the industry right now.
I can guarantee you that that's the case, and something very special about our team. You want to know how transparent we are? If you're serious about this business, we'll fly you to Orlando, Florida to tour the corporation, and you won't have to pay for any of it. Okay? Now, does that sound crazy to you? Sounds crazy. Call me crazy if that's crazy. But living a life of financial freedom with an opportunity that can actually get it done for you, most people call that crazy. I'm just telling you, if you take it seriously and you're serious, we'll send you down to the corporation, have a look at it for yourself.
Yeah, that's amazing, because I've never seen a company like Jeunesse roll out the red carpet, so to speak, where they flew us to Hollywood in January, which was mind-blowing. But the newest person, get them down to their corporate offices and do it. Guys, if you're with Amway, as far as I still know, you have to be a direct or platinum, whatever they call them, before they give you to your trip to Ada, Michigan. Jeunesse will fly down as a new person. We want you to buy a Supreme Package or Ambassador to know you're serious. But if you do that, they will fly you down, pay for your airfare and night hotel to tour their company, so you can see that they're real. You can see who they really are. And I think that gives you a better footing as a new person. Just wondering, what's this company back, 2,000-3,000 miles away? They'll bring you down to see. You can meet the owners of the company.
Yeah. You can meet Ashleigh and I, you can meet Brad, you can meet a lot of amazing people. We'll be there. I mean, it's easy. Like, you guys invite people to open meetings. I invite them to meet me in Orlando, Florida. Which one's better? $5 to get into an open meeting, I'll fly you. I don't care where you're located. Come down to the corporation, hang out for 48 hours.
Yeah.
That's why we kept going, because we knew we would form these partnerships. And because of people like Brad Krantz and my wife, those types of people push me on to just go run through brick walls so the whole industry can win, or anybody that wants to win. And Calvin Bracera has absolutely changed my life, like Brad has and like my wife has. I was just an angry kid who wasn't going to help somebody put a finger in my chest and tell me I had to do it their way. Now we do it our way. I didn't get a PhD in college, but I got my PhD in 3LE, baby, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. So it's nice. It's great to partner with you guys, man. And I hope this message goes out to the right people that are looking, that want a real opportunity with real people, real tools. We're not just going to give you some app which has got a bunch of motivational stuff on. You can get YouTube. I get YouTube for free at home. I can watch it on my smart TV. I mean, I don't need to have an app to do that, guys. So get into the 21st century, align yourself with an opportunity that is using 21st century technology to build a business.
Yep.
There you go.
I love that. And even so, in conclusion, even if that is not watching this series, right? You're someone that maybe you are currently in Amway, you've looked at Amway, you've been involved in Amway. This group of people right here, like, we all were involved, and we all could have walked away and stayed away. But, you know, God truly has put it on Adam and I's heart to shine a light in this industry and show people that there are high integrity companies, there are high integrity teams and people that run their businesses. And whether or not you make a decision to say, hey, this, you know, Brad or Adam or Ashleigh, I'd love to partner with you. Even just having the conversation, we've talked to plenty of people who have come to us and are like, hey, I've been involved and, you know, I'm not super interested in what you're doing, but I'd like to just bounce something off of you. I'd like to just have a discussion on what my experience was like.
Yep.
We love those conversations. So absolutely, there's going to be links below this video. Please feel free to connect with Brad or Adam and myself. We'd love to just have a conversation with you.
Powerful thing is if you work with Brad, you get all three of us. So,
there you go.
I'm serious.
By default, yes.
So Brad's an awesome guy. He's a close business partner of mine. Hey, we believe in you guys. Just go make a decision and go win, okay?